great to have you all here today, and thanks for the previous presenters for really setting the scene and really making my work a bit easier. Let me start by first thanking the organizers for inviting me to be part of this webinar. It's really a pleasure. We don't have much time left, but hopefully I'll be able to get my points across in the remaining time left and leave some time for and question and answer. So in my brief presentation today, I will be giving some insight into an international agreement which has been negotiated at the United Nations, which deals with conserving and managing biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction, and why really from a blue economy perspective, we as Caribbean countries and Caribbean people should be interested. We finalized the text of the agreement in March 2023 after years of negotiation and really adopted it in June 2023. I have been intimately involved in negotiating this agreement on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago and CARICOM, having been the Caribbean community's lead on environmental impact assessment, that element of the agreement. So just to give you an idea of the geographic scope of the agreement, areas beyond national jurisdiction, or ABNJ, are the focus of the treaty. On the map, ABNJ is represented in dark blue. You can see that about 2/3 of all ocean space and about 45% of the area of the planet are areas beyond national jurisdiction. And it is really the location of some of the most unique, sensitive, and unexplored biological ecosystems, such as deep sea hydrothermal vents and seamounts. So beyond national jurisdiction, a patchwork of international bodies and treaties manage ocean resources and human activity. Now, many of these bodies are sectoral in nature, with few mechanisms really existing to facilitate communication and coordination between them all. And in addition, these bodies vary greatly in terms of their mandate and focus. Biodiversity conservation very often is not their main priority. So this piecemeal governance approach really led to the degradation of areas and resources in areas beyond national jurisdiction. And it makes deploying management and conservation tools challenging both legally and logistically. And so recognizing that the current regime for preservation and conservation of biodiversity found in areas beyond national jurisdiction was not ideal, the nations of the world embarked on a process aimed at making improvements. And that process was and is the crafting of the BBNJ agreement. The BBNJ agreement will be an implementing agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, and it really deals with the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction. The letters highlighted in red denoting how the BBNJ acronym was derived. So we concluded the intergovernmental conference stage of negotiations in March 2023, and where we elaborated the text of the agreement. And the agreement was adopted in June 2023 and opened for signature in September 2023. CARICOM countries are very active in negotiating this agreement, and we negotiated as a bloc. So CARICOM countries united, and we came up with our positions, and we negotiated as a group. The middle picture there on the slide really shows a cross-section of some of the CARICOM negotiators in the agreement. So this slide just shows the timeline of the agreement negotiation. And as you can see, it took a lot of time to negotiate the actual agreement, starting with informal efforts way back in 2004. Just some major milestones along the way. In 2016, we had the PrepCom established, the preparatory committee, where we elaborated on elements of the agreement. Then this led to this, following on from this, we had the Intergovernmental Conference in 2017, starting in 2018, sorry. And that was supposed to be concluded in 2020, but COVID and other issues led to it being extended, and we actually, as I said, wrapped up the agreement in 2023. The aim or the target is to have the agreement come into force by 2025, but that, of course, all depends on how many countries sign and ratify the agreement by that time. So the scope of the BBNJ negotiations was agreed way back in 2011. The 2011 package deal really earmarked in particular and together as a whole 4 elements. The first was marine genetic resources, or MGRs, including questions on the sharing of benefits. The second was measures such as area-based management tools, or ABMTs, including marine protected areas. Third was environmental impact assessments, EIAs. And the fourth was capacity building and the transfer of marine technology. And these were the 4 topics to be addressed under the agreement. Now, although most CARICOM countries lack the resources and the capacity to actually go out into areas beyond national jurisdiction to conduct exploitative activities, we have to remember that marine areas are fluid, dynamic, and interconnected. Therefore, what happens in marine areas beyond national jurisdiction can obviously have great bearing on the spaces and activities and resources that we make use of within our own national jurisdiction in the process of blue economy development. So with that in mind, let's look at MGRs. In areas beyond national jurisdiction, at the moment, only a few countries really have the financial resources and technical know-how to effectively conduct MGR research. But the BBNJ agreement creates a situation where the benefits arising out of MGR research will be shared instead of it just accumulating to the few who possess the ability to carry out collection and research on MGRs from areas beyond national jurisdiction. The benefits to be shared would be both monetary and non-monetary. Non-monetary benefits may include, for example, allowing developing countries to actually participate on research cruises being carried out, having information and results of scientific research on MGRs be freely shared, and allowing researchers from the developing world facilitated open access to genetic material and information gathered from areas beyond national jurisdiction. Monetary benefit sharing entails the sharing of proceeds resulting from commercialization of products which have been developed from using MGRs and digital sequence information from areas beyond national jurisdiction. And the monetary proceeds will be deposited into a special fund which developing countries can access to fund capacity building. The sharing of these benefits could help us in the Caribbean further develop our capacity to carry out MGR research, for example, for use in developing pharmaceutical products. And this could yet prove to be a viable emerging blue economy sector in the Caribbean. The next element of the agreement, area-based management tools, including MPAs. For this element, the agreement creates a coordinated procedure for proposing, implementing, and managing MPAs and other areas-based management tools in areas beyond national jurisdiction. And Mikhail really brought home why this should be important to us. So, for example, in Trinidad and Tobago, the leatherback turtle, which nests on many beaches around Trinidad and Tobago, is a perfect example why CARICOM countries would be interested in this aspect of the agreement from a blue economy perspective. These turtles nest on our beaches, but they spend a significant portion of their life migrating through waters in areas beyond national jurisdiction. We would want to ensure that these wonderful creatures that are the basis of local community-based ecotourism, we will want to ensure that they are protected as best as they can be, not only within our waters, but also in international waters. And the BBNJ agreement really provides a mechanism to contemplate and subsequently establish conservation measures, including MPAs, in those areas of the ocean that lie outside of national jurisdiction. So the agreement will really be an important means for us to achieve the global goal agreed under the Convention of Biological Diversity, Global Biodiversity Framework, to protect 30% of the Earth's marine areas by 2030. With respect to environmental impact assessment, which was really my area within the negotiations. Currently, for many activities, there was no detailed procedure for uniform sets of substantive requirements regarding the conduct of EIA for activities proposed in areas beyond national jurisdiction. And although it's, as I said, it's unlikely that CARICOM countries would be proposing projects in areas beyond national jurisdiction in the near future, we know that because ocean currents provide the means to transport pollutants and other potentially harmful substances from ABNJ into our coastal areas, we really have to be very concerned about what activities are permitted to occur in areas beyond national jurisdiction and ensure that robust EIAs are conducted. So think of sargassum, for example. Although sargassum is a natural occurrence, it is an example of something that originates in international waters and travels through ocean circulation, inundating our coastlines and severely affecting some of our blue economy sectors, such as tourism and fishing. The same mechanisms that transport sargassum can also transport pollutants from activities occurring in areas beyond national jurisdiction. So therefore, we have to be to ensure that high quality EIAs are conducted for activities that will be proposed in areas beyond national jurisdiction, and that really rigorous evaluations of these EIAs occur before these proposed activities are given permission to proceed. The agreement mandates and sets out a procedure for conducting assessments of activities proposed in areas beyond national jurisdiction before they are given permission to proceed, in order to really implement measures to mitigate their potential impacts. And it also mandates subsequent monitoring and review of permitted activities to ensure that these activities continue to have minimal impacts on the environment. The rules under the AIA, under the BBNJ agreement, also encourage public participation and transparency, use of best available science and traditional knowledge, and provides avenues for global oversight and intervention in the process. So this is an excellent thing coming out of the BBNJ agreement. And lastly, capacity building and the transfer of marine technology. This was of huge importance and focus for CARICOM during the negotiations. Capacity building and tech transfer is greatly needed to fulfill our obligations and exercise our rights arising out of the BBNJ agreement. Now, given what the BBNJ agreement entails, capacity building and transfer of marine technology can involve many things, including, for example, assistance in building our indigenous capacities regarding tools and techniques and expertise to conduct marine scientific research, including on marine genetic resources. Capacity building and tech transfer in conceptualizing, implementing, and managing marine protected areas and other area-based management tools. Capacity building and tech transfer in conducting and evaluating EIAs and strategic environmental assessments. And more generally, support will be provided for the creation or enhancement of human financial management, scientific, technological, organizational, and institutional capabilities. The agreement will provide for improved and more robust architecture for capacity building and tech transfer, including a dedicated mandatorily resource fund to finance capacity building activities. So for developing countries, including SIDS, the intention is therefore to have capacity building being guaranteed, accessible, and long-term. And although the agreement deals with areas beyond national jurisdiction, of course, any capacity building and tech transfer would be just as applicable within our areas of national jurisdiction as they would be in areas beyond national jurisdiction. The agreement also creates a number of particular organs, bodies, and mechanisms under it to facilitate effective implementation. I won't go into too much details here because of time limitations, but it does establish a conference of parties, a scientific and technical body, which will also be important in really ensuring that EIAs are properly conducted and area-based management tools are set up. There's a clearinghouse mechanism which will allow for transparency and sharing of information. And there are also a number of committees that will ensure that, for example, capacity building and the transfer of marine technology takes place in an effective manner, and access and benefit sharing under the MGR part of the agreement will also be done in an effective manner. So in closing, I'll just give some insights into the status of the agreement as of present. As of yesterday, when I wrapped up doing this presentation, preparing this presentation, there were 91 signatories to the agreement, and 8 ratifications. The 8 ratifications being Chile, Palau, Belize, Seychelles, Monaco, Mauritius, the Federated States of Micronesia, and Cuba. CARICOM states who have signed the agreement are Antigua and Barbuda, Belize, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and of course Belize, who has already gone ahead and ratified the agreement. It would take 60 ratifications for the agreement to actually enter into force. So as I said, we're already at 8. When the agreement enters into force, there are a number of key decisions to be taken at the first and second meetings of the Conference of Parties. And CARICOM member states would therefore wish to have an active presence in these meetings. And to do this, early ratification would be necessary. In the interim, while we wait for the agreement to enter into force, while we're waiting on the 60 ratifications, a preparatory commission has been established to prepare for the entry into force of the BBNJ agreement and to prepare for the convening of the first meeting of the Conference of Parties. In the preparatory commission, as I said, a number of important discussions will be taking place on items that will be decided at the first meeting of the COP. The preparatory commission had an organizational meeting which took place in June, very recently, and it will meet again for 2 sessions next year. CARICOM states intend to fully participate in this preparatory commission. Again, we are still coordinated as a block. So we're maintaining that coordinated approach that has served us really well during the negotiations. And with that, I'd like to say thank you and look forward to any questions that you may have.